is Kiritana, and I'm going to present to you Owambe. Now I know what you're asking. What the heck is Owambe? Owambe is a Yoruba word that means grand, huge party and celebration. What do you do at celebrations? You take pictures, you interact with people, you do texting. Well, we've identified a problem with that. That problem first starts with the user. The user has no way to interact with everybody that is at that event, and they leave the place with lost potential relationships. There's an even bigger problem. The event planner actually leaves that event without all of that user-generated media, and they have no way to access all of that data that they accomplished in that event. Well, we have a solution. Our solution is actually a Owambe app. A Owambe app is an events-based social network that lets users live share and save comments and photos instantly while empowering event planners by letting them access user-generated media and see the data behind the conversation. So what is our app going to do? It's going to foster community between event attendees. It's going to collect user-generated media. It's going to create a more immersive environment. And more than anything, it's going to allow event planners to interact with all of those event attendees. Now, in the last 48 hours, we've been able to create a demo prototype that Bill is actually going to explain to you all.
So, the first thing you see is going to be a list of events that you are able to attend that are near you. And then if you swipe over, you'll see a list of anything that people at the event have said, any kind of text about that event. Then you swipe again, and you actually get a list of all the pictures that people have taken and uploaded at the event. And there's a little Easter egg at the top. If you click on that, it'll load up the website, and it'll change colors. Just a little bit of fun.
Thank you, Bill. So, we know that the success of this app is going to be due to a great user interface. People have to enjoy it. They have to want to use it. Therefore, we did very extensive user interface validation testing. We talked to more than 11 people in usability tests, and we did 7 version reviews. And actually, the version that you just saw in our demo prototype is version number 6. We even talked to 2 usability experts, and this is what we expect to see in the next version. So what are planned additional features? And these additional features are based on what talking to people, custom branding, mass communication to attendees, reporting and analytics, extremely important, custom polls, contest sweepstakes, and obviously gamification. This app can be used at so many things. It can be used at conferences, small social gatherings, weddings, sporting events, even startup weekend. So we thought that end-user validation was very important. Out of 43 people who we surveyed, 82% said they'd be interested in using it, and they're willing to upload their content to such a network at an event. Now, event planner interviews were extremely important because this is going to be where we get our revenue. We talked personally to 11 different event planners. A party promoter said, hey, I paid $200 to get an event photographer. I'm willing to pay $100 to gather all that user-generated media that I can use to further promote my events. A hotel event planner said, hey, weddings would love this, and they'd be willing to pay for it. And we know that we have 5 beta testers. Now, let me talk about the business model. We all know that there are competitors to this right now. I mean, right now, most of the people that we talked to said, hey, I'm using Twitter, and I'm using Twitter hashtags, and yes, that allows me to collect some kind of data, but it's very imperfect. I can't collect it. I can't see everyone. I don't have time to be tweeting during my event. We also have Facebook. Facebook personal, people are uploading their information to Facebook personal profiles so the event planner can actually access all of that text and photos and video. Well, we decided that we're going to use a freemium business model. Freemium meaning that there's going to be various levels to actually use this app based on how many people are at your event. It's going to range from free, in which you have a very limited analytics package from 50 users, all the way up to platinum, where you're paying up to $175.25 for an additional user. And all of this data is based on what people we talked to said that they were willing to pay. People said, I'm willing to pay anywhere from 50 cents to even $5 a user to get all of this data and user-generated info. And obviously, larger events. Please go to our website, www. answer your questions.
All right, 3 minutes for questions from the judges.
Thanks.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned Twitter hashtags and Facebook personal profiles as areas where you lose content, but what about a Facebook event? How does your product differentiate itself from an event which is a more collaborative means of sharing?
The problem with Facebook events is Facebook is designed for you and your friends, and while there are groups, most people don't associate the different groups and the events on Facebook with things. A lot of people like to use it for parties, and it doesn't get quite the same level of user engagement, things like SMS or Twitter review.
And we also talked to the event organizers. They said that, one of the things they try to get people to upload their photos to the Facebook event or the Facebook page, but it's not perfect at all, and they have a hard time doing it.
How do you get people out of the path that they're in? I mean, you're asking them to go into a whole new app. They're used to defaulting to Facebook and Twitter. Hashtags work well for events. I always think about this when we try and solve this kind of problem. Is the problem big enough that people are actually going to go out of their current path, which is Twitter? For most events I go to, Twitter is what I'm following in a hash, right? This whole weekend I was following the hash.
That's a really great question you asked over there, and it's something that we really thought about, Andrew. And one of the really unique things about our business model and what we specifically do is that, especially when it gets to events that sponsor these things, they want it to be successful. And because they want it to be successful, it'll be easy for them to get access for us to promote it to them. We were talking about QR codes, other forms of aggressive marketing, things like discounts. If people are active on there, the hot dogs a little percentage off of that if they interact with it. Variable pricing models that not go beyond the original scope of the pricing, but for the company or the groups that we partner with, having them actively encourage users at those events to participate in this app. Because the more users that participate, the more data they get and the more bang they get for their buck through this application. So it's a great relationship that we would have ideally with partners.
Is there potentially a much larger revenue stream from advertisers at large? I'm thinking like a Colts football game. If you could get them to use this application, you now have a mechanism to push ads to 50,000 people, where it kind of dwarfs the $175 model.
Essentially the long-term goal, but you don't just get there and,
You saw it at the bottom.
Certainly, they're not going to be your first customer.
The Super Bowl is
You saw at the bottom, it said, you may not have been able to see from the angle, but we're for larger events than 500, maybe 600 people that are paying for the extra users. We want to talk to them directly because there's a lot of additional features that we can enable for them, custom features that they might be interested in. In addition, obviously the pricing for 20,000 people would be significantly higher than that. You've got a lot larger data loads and some other issues that you can encounter.
One thing, definitely, and we agree about that. What was so exciting about this project over the weekend is that we had the problem of so many different creative